You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 288. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
I'm Jeff Barnhart, otherwise known as Barbecue Eater Lad. I can eat all kinds of barbecue, except Eastern North Carolina. I can eat it, but I choose not to.
Okay. Comic Reflections is brought to you by The Outhousers. You can find our show and other nifty content at theouthousers.com. And if you enjoy this program, please subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher. Jeff,
Okay.
couple little house cleaning items at the beginning. First of all, March 24th, 2017 marks the 5-year anniversary of this podcast.
I am gobsmacked.
You
That's
are.
amazing.
Yeah. Now, you weren't with me at the very beginning, but you came along pretty, I think the following spring after I
A
started.
year later, then?
I think that's right. Maybe
Okay.
the fall. I'd have to look at my notes. I'm a little off the cuff on this.
I was kind of drunk at the time, so I don't know.
Oh, were you?
No.
Okay. But you and I have at least been doing the show for the last 4 years, at least. But yeah, I do want to semi-announce that episode 300 of this show, which should be recorded in June sometime, will be the quote-unquote last episode of Comic Reflections, but not really, with details to follow. I'll explain as we get closer to the appointed hour.
Okay.
But yeah, it will be the last of us recording on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
But the show will carry on, and again, I will have more details to follow as we approach number 300.
Okay.
But anyway, today you and I are going to talk about limited collector's edition C49 Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. This is a Treasury edition, the first of two that DC put out, featuring the Legion of Superheroes in the 70s. This is cover dated October and November of 1976, but according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, it went on sale July 1st, 1976. Price $1 big shiny dollar,
Wow.
which I think at the time most comics were like 35 cents. Although DC also had their 100-page super spectaculars, I think still going on at this time, which were 60 cents. But for 100 page.
Yeah, and no ads.
Right,
Which surprised me, because I haven't read one of these in a long time.
Right.
So, but these are great, and they're not so great. They're great because you can see that the larger format makes it so much easier to see all the details, but it's hard to store these things.
Right. This is kind of a prototype for the almost like the trade paperback. Although a handful of things like that were out around that time, but not a lot. But Treasuries kind of fell out of fashion because they're difficult to store and to keep in mint condition. So once the collector's mentality set in, people hated them, or hardcore collectors did, because it's really hard to keep them in perfect condition. Me, I don't care as long as they're intact. Comic books are for reading. I don't care about the investment. But yeah. Anyway, this cover is by Mike Grell. And we have a host of Legionnaires, only a few of which actually appear in this issue.
Yes.
And
And
it's
I
really-
can't remember most of them.
Well, I'll help. We have Superboy in the center, flanked by Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, Tyrock, Chameleon Boy, Starboy, Dream Girl, and so on and so forth, flying away from the Legion headquarters. And this is a wraparound cover. And we've got... You
I
didn't
didn't
even
know.
look on the back?
I looked on the back, but I didn't get that it was coming from the other. I didn't know it was wraparound cover. Because I didn't look at it at the same time.
Yeah, nice big images of Princess Projectra, Karate Kid, Brainiac 5, Lightning Lad, Stringy Violet, Shadow Lass, and so on. Really, everyone in the Legion, I think, is covered on either the front or the back. Everyone living
Yeah.
at that point. Even Chameleon King, who I think had not yet met his demise.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, this is terrific. And Mike Grell did this cover. This story, Mordru the Merciless, is reprinted from Adventure Comics number 369 from June of 1968. And Jim Shooter wrote this story, and he also did the layouts for penciler Kurt Swan to follow, and then it was inked by Jack Abel. This is a terrific story.
Oh, God, yes.
I love this splash panel, too.
Mm-hmm. It shows how Mordru, I don't want to say Mordred, but this is where, of course, it comes from.
Right.
But he is very menacing, and the Legionnaires are scared, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and he seems really evil and threatening throughout this story. Mm-hmm. The great splash panel, Mordru is huge, and we see Superboy, Mon-El, Shadow Lass, and Duo Damsel, who are really the central figures of this. Mm-hmm. The other Legionnaires are really not present. Mm-hmm. Two things I want to note about this story. One, Shooter presented this as if Mordru was an established villain who had appeared previously. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Legion fans at the time who, newsstand model who often miss issues, would write in like, oh, what issue did Mordru appear before? Mm-hmm. Because the whole setup is like he's already a major villain.
Yeah.
But this is his first appearance.
Yeah. And we find out that he has met the Legionnaires. And I would love to see a big, long thing about Mordru, its history and all, because it is fascinating.
Yeah, and he's definitely a recurring Legion villain. But it would be nice, and I don't know if it's been done, if somebody would go back and do that untold first meeting with mm-hmm. Mordru as a story.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It's pretty cool here, but I just want more.
Yeah, and conveniently, the rest of the Legionnaires, because there's so many of them, are left out. We come into the story under the impression that Mordru has defeated the rest of the Legionnaires, and these four flee through time to escape from Mordru and to regroup mm-hmm. and try to figure out a plan. But yes, let's carry on with this story. We begin with Mon-El carrying Superboy over his shoulder.
Yeah. He tells Duo Damsel that they have to go to Time Chamber immediately.
I don't know. Time Chamber? What happened to the time bubble?
I don't know.
Yeah, weird.
Is it before the time bubble?
No, the time bubble is well established before this. But I have not, I love the Silver Age, but I have not read all mm-hmm. of the Silver Age Legion stuff. So bad on my part for me being confused on this. I'm sure it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Or who cares? But that's a good catch, though.
Yeah.
So we have Shadow Lass and Duo Damsel, Mon-El, and Superboy, and they go into the time chamber and go back to Smallville.
Yeah.
Because they are being chased by a shadowy figure, the eponymous Mordru the Merciless.
Yes.
And Superboy says, "Why'd you send us back to Smallville, 20th century? He's going to look here, of course." And they didn't have time, so...
Right, they didn't have time to think about it. But also, it actually is a pretty smart move. And here's why. Mordru doesn't know Superboy is Clark Kent. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't know about Mon-El's previously used secret identity as Bob Cobb. Mm-hmm. Smallville is actually a perfect place for these four Legionnaires to attempt to blend in and regroup and come up with a plan to try and battle Mordru.
Plus, they have some allies that Mordru doesn't know about as well.
Correct. And we'll get into that a bit later. But it's a great plan. Oh, in case we didn't mention it, Mordru is like this super sorcerer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Conqueror of worlds.
Yeah. Right. And we'll get into that because we'll have a little bit of history.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all Shadow Lass's fault. Because she's poking into things she's not supposed to.
What thing?
She's trying to familiarize. She says, "I was trying to familiarize myself with the layout of New HQ, and she came across a vault. And she actually opened it just a itsy bit. And this is the vault where Mordru was entombed."
It's weird that he's not imprisoned on Takron Galtos, the prison planet,
Mm-hmm.
which does get a mention somewhere in here, although I don't know if it's called that.
Yeah. And
by
why
name.
is this labeled? You know?
Yeah, why isn't it?
Yeah. Do not open.
Yeah, good question. It kind of reminds me of, I know it's much later, but in the Real Ghostbusters cartoon, when they had like their the thing where they put all the ghosts they caught in that big vault,
Mm-hmm.
and they would show like the inside of it. And it was just like full of ghosts floating around, like in the Phantom Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so we get the history of Mordru. He is a sorcerer from Xerox. Oh man!
It's Xerox with a Z.
Yeah, but I wonder that's a little joke though.
Maybe. I don't know if Xerox
Yes.
was Xerox the company around in 1968.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just came to this country. I don't know everything.
Okay. And we have some. He gets an army and a space navy and conquers everything. And
Everything? Like the
just
whole
about.
universe?
I
Or
mean,
just like,
well, almost. So.
dang.
And he uses magic and he kicks butt everywhere. And it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So I would love to see more of the story.
Yeah.
So the planets are giving up to him.
Yeah. The United Planets too?
Um,
They must send the Legion to battle Mordru.
mhm.
And obviously they lost. We see a panel of, looks like Duo Damsel, Cosmic Boy, Saturn Girl, and Sun Boy fighting some
100-foot giant.
Yeah, some minion of Mordru's. And I'm assuming, I guess we're led to believe they were all defeated and Duo Damsel somehow escaped.
Yeah. So Mordru kicks butt, but he doesn't know about Superboy and Mon-El. So,
Oh, that's right. This is the recap of the quote-unquote previous encounter with Mordru.
mhm.
Okay.
and they put him in a vault.
An
And-
airless steel block.
Yeah.
So I guess if deprived of oxygen, it won't kill him, but he can't use magic or whatever. I guess that's a
Right.
perfect
Mhm.
prison.
Yeah,
Do you think it's because without air he can't speak to cast spells?
that might be it. Or it has no energy and blah blah blah.
Yeah, okay. Or it could be just comic books.
Mm-hmm. Mon-El did not close it in time to fix Shadowlass's mistake, and Mordru wakes up,
Okay.
and he is ticked off.
Yeah, and he has 10, count them, 10 Coke fingers, because he's got long fingernails.
Yeah.
That's my joke.
Oh, okay. Okay. And he blasts Superboy, who is vulnerable to magic,
He
which
sure
is
is.
kind of cool. I mean, Sir Pitalik would have would do nothing to Superman if Superman was not so susceptible to magic.
Well, right.
Mhm.
I think, and
I
I love
think
Nixios Pitalik. I
Yep.
really do.
Mhm.
And I think, although magic characters I find kind of dumb,
Yeah.
because you can just come up with some BS answer to solve any problem, just like Technobabble can
Yeah.
do the same thing.
It can be badly done, and it often is.
Yeah. But I think Mixius Pitalik is one of the rarer exceptions because he's fun, and
And
Mordru is one of them because he is genuinely menacing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd rather have a magic villain than a magic hero.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, nothing against Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate, but I like them more in supporting roles than the lead.
Yeah. Having you're given a
And Zatanna too, who I love,
yeah,
but not that crazy about magic.
yeah, and you have to get these explanations of it, and again, I'm boring.
Yeah.
It's sort of
Like science or science fiction answers, I'm like, okay, cool, I can go with that. But magic, it's like it
I
seems
know
like
a
you
little
just.
bit of science. I don't
Yeah.
know any magic.
But magic is just kind of like you can just say any baloney thing. But yeah.
I have magic bologna, and repels mayonnaise. And then the rules are weird, and I don't. I like
Because
rules.
there aren't any,
Right.
So,
All right. So Mordru blasts Superboy, and so we're back to the story.
yes. So the Legionnaires are in Smallville, and they come up with their plan to hide amongst the folks of Smallville.
Yeah, and they go to the Kent to explain to Mom and Pa Kent what's going on, and they get this idea to we'll send everybody, we'll separate everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and the girls will go meet with the will pretend to be. I'm your relative, Daisy Sue, from and which is something that's plausible at this time.
In
But
1968.
but
Now,
now,
no. Absolutely not. But again, it's a different time.
hmm
Um, Duo Damsel's going to go and hang with the Langs, I think,
hmm
and Shadow Lass is going to get painted or with use makeup to cover up her blue skin and visit. I don't know. I think is it Chief Potter?
Yeah.
I may be mixed up who the Gal Legionnaires are staying with, but
hmm
of course Mon-El resumes the identity of
Parker.
the Parker, Chief Parker. What did I
Yeah.
say?
Potter.
Oh, I was thinking Professor Potter.
Yeah.
My bad. Um,
Yeah, but there's come on in.
Isn't that nice? That's
Yeah.
right. Shadow Lass is staying with the Langs, and Duo Damsel with the Potters. And of course, Mon-El resumes his secret ID of Bob Cobb.
Okay. They like
Clark's-
to rhyme in the future.
Clark's cousin and door-to-door brush salesman. I love it.
I do too. I'm just trying to think. I never heard of a brush salesman. I mean, they did exist, but in my lifetime, no. I mean, no.
And you got to remember, DC in the 60s is still kind of like the 1950s.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
I love it. So, no complaints here.
Except for the occasional hippie, but that's still late. Doesn't really show up until the late 60s.
Mhm.
But anyway.
Yeah. So Mordru, they're worried that it's going to be an obvious place for them to go. So Mordru will follow them, and
He did.
And yeah, but they think, well, maybe it's so obvious he won't come here, but he did anyway. He sends a shadow.
Yeah, it's this creeping shadow that spreads throughout Smallville.
Shadow Lass puts all the Legion into a shadow protection,
Okay.
but the rest of the town are not under protection, so they get zapped, and they will follow Mordru.
Yeah. Including Lana Lang. Which is important.
Yep. Okay, so they go to bed and then they meet, and oh my god, soap opera happens.
Okay, so Clark shows Duo Damsel like his secret entrance to his laboratory or into the Kent's house or something like that, so she can sneak in and out of the Kent home.
Right.
Because it would be conspicuous if they just showed up at the Kent's house, I guess.
Yeah, and it looks like that Mon-El takes Shadow Lass back to her place, but Superboy just makes Duo Damsel go through this tunnel by herself, and she's kind of ticked off because
she has a crush on Superboy.
yeah, Shadow Lass is dating Mon-El, and Duo Damsel likes Superboy. Yeah, and but she knows all these chicks are after Superboy, and she has no chance. And she knows he gets married, and they don't tell us to who.
Right. I gotta say, the Shadow Lass Mon-El romance is one of my favorites in the history of the Legion, and it lasts a long, long time.
Oh, cool.
It's almost as firmly established as Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Duo Damsel
At the Parkers.
cries herself to sleep.
Oh.
And Mr. and Mrs. Parker comes in, and they notice that she's been crying. That's really
so
sad.
they were like, oh, she must be homesick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
At the breakfast table the next day at the Langs, Shadow Lass almost gives up the secret because she says, "Where do you keep your schoolatrons?"
Oh man. Oh.
And she's like, "I mean, like." And Lana's like, "Oh, you mean school?
Yeah.
It's just a short walk from here." And then Shadow Lass is remembering, like, on Talek 8, or I believe is her home. They have computers that teach you stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Man.
Well, yeah, and this is a difficult part, and they play this up pretty good. But the past is a different country.
It
People
really
are
is.
different there.
Yeah, and especially if she's not a native of Earth, even.
Yeah. Um, yeah, she should be more smart about it, but I would make those mistakes. I think
And it
anybody
makes
would.
for dramatic interestingness. So here the story takes an interesting turn because, okay, Mordru uses a bunch of magic to create illusions of disasters and monsters showing up to flush out the Legion.
Yeah, and it doesn't work. You think Smallville would be used to this, because all kinds of weird things happen there.
Right, and they know about Superboy. It's not like he's operating in secret, which would be boring.
Yeah. Actually, Superboy is full, but Mon-El is not.
Yeah, which I like that. Maybe Superboy being fooled is part of his susceptibility to magic?
Ooh. Maybe
Just
so.
thought of that. But it's pretty neat. Let's see. So that doesn't work out for Mordru. So they go to school the next day, and somebody points out that looks like a Shadow Lass has some of her makeup rubbed off, and we see her blue skin. And Clark covers it up in a very clever way.
Yeah.
The guy that points out, like, did you, what's going on with the blue arm?
Yeah.
Gets.
What, you're exchanging from Mars?
But anyway, Clark then squirts the guy in the face, quote unquote, by accident with his fountain pen. And she's like, oh, she must have spilled some ink on herself. That's what it is.
Yeah. Now Mike has blue skin too. Ha ha ha. I love them. I love the silly jokes and all that stuff. This is great.
It's pretty great.
But she would have Shadow Lass if she had wore long sleeves.
That wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah. And
but these little trip ups are like a constant trope of Superboy and Superman comics.
Yeah.
So you got to put something in there, and to make it a thing about the Legion, almost exposing their identity, not him, makes it fresh too.
Yeah. That's right, because they don't care. Hey, we're Legionnaires.
Yeah, because none of them wear masks.
Yeah.
The only Legionnaire that ever wore a mask was Pharaoh Lad because he was a disfigured mutant. Everybody, well, and Wildfire, but because he's in that containment suit, that's different.
Yeah.
But yeah. So after school, they're walking home and talking about stuff, and there's a runaway truck.
Yeah.
And they don't want to act, but Duo Damsel grabs a school, like a stop sign, like one of those movable stop signs, and throws it in the path of the truck to stop it, so to prevent a collision. And so she's almost exposed, kind of like...
Yeah. Oh, she had adrenaline help her, and so that everyone...
they buy it.
Yeah. Which is okay, and true, I guess. But the weird thing is Clark is checking out Shadow Lass now.
Well, okay.
Yeah, and he notices her, and...
No. Duo Damsel.
Excuse me, Duo Damsel. I'm sorry, I'm getting them mixed.
Yeah, so Duo Damsel's getting her wish.
Yeah.
For now.
And Shadow Lass notices.
Yeah.
That. I wonder...
I think they may have played with the idea of Duo Damsel and Superboy getting together.
He's fast enough. He could date both of them, the Duo Damsels, One thing, I wonder... no, she was doing some kind of... So why does he notice her now? Because she did something heroic, but she does some stuff heroic all the time. I think it is because she is dressed like the girls who he went to school with. And
there's a level of familiarity that makes it more palatable.
And, and you start noticing girls at a certain age. Sure. And the way they're dressed is going to be imprinted on you.
Yeah.
And 70s outfits on girls, wow. Because, that's when I was growing up. And I think that's because, she wears far more revealing stuff in the future. And here she's wearing a dress. And that makes him interested. So.
Okay. Actually, Duo Damsel's costume is pretty conservative. It's...
I
mean, she wears a skirt, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
She shows more leg than she does now.
Well, right, because it just wouldn't be...
Yeah, not done in 30th century. But
the 20th.
20th, yeah. So, that's cool. So,
So there's a human fly type robber climbing up a wall, but he robbed the jewelry exchange.
Yeah.
Smallville has a jewelry
And why
exchange?
is he going up the wall? What's up there?
Where are you escaping to?
Yeah.
To the crime copter.
Yeah.
You know, like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
That would be the stupidest thing to do.
Yeah.
But it would be the most comic book thing to do. Land on a building with a helicopter, then scale the building, and just, rob the place, and then climb up the wall again and go back.
Although he is in a costume. So, say he goes up to the top. Oh, I don't know. He could dress like somebody else, and then...
Yeah, that is dumb. Why doesn't he just, like... Yeah, that's weird. Why would you rob a place and then scale the wall?
Yeah, suppose he can make his getaway over the rooftops. So...
What?
I mean, he can jump over, like they do in The Matrix and or something.
Yeah, I'm sure that... What?
Yeah.
Parkour. Okay.
Okay. The Smallville Sentinel. Man, wouldn't you love to have a few copies of the Smallville Sentinel?
As a newspaper?
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah. But, I mean, with talking about Superboy and all that stuff, it'd be pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Headline is Superboy missing. Gone for a week with no explanation. So people have noticed he's gone. And other people notice he's gone because here comes King Carter.
Yeah, he's a mobster who kind of has this, royalty type complex.
Yeah, and he's in these are 1920s cars.
Yeah,
Although maybe they're supposed to be limousines.
and his mobsters have Tommy guns and stuff.
Yeah,
straight from the 30s to 1968.
yeah.
I love it.
Oh, and then they shoot down the telephone wires, so they're cut off from society, the rest of the world. And he demands tribute from Smallville, and they give it to him.
I love that they put like a Barker Lounger on top of his car, and so he can command the people of Smallville from there.
Yeah. Wouldn't you?
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Oh
man, here's this one of the crooks' named Slob.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him later.
Okay.
But I love that name.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we want all these fruit because the boss wants to eat.
Yeah.
But of course the vendor complains like, I need the money for my family. I have to sell that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Pa Kent is running the general store and he's frustrated.
yeah, because no one is backing him. They can't fight him because everyone is just giving up. Because of Superboy, which is the problem with Superboy and Superman is that it makes people weak.
Yeah, it's taking away people's own agency. Like, oh, well, we're going to depend on Superman, or Superboy in this case, to take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so they lose their own backbone. They're so used to him swooping in and saving the day. This is an interesting theme to explore.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah. It's a DC thing. It's not really a Marvel thing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's not explored super often, but we've discovered, like, remember the story, like, Must There Be a Superman?
all right.
From the 70s?
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah,
That's
I never see Marvel do this.
Right. That's interesting. It's kind of a really super philosophical thing. And
I mean, because the DC heroes are these almost mythical god archetypes, and then Marvel superheroes are gods, quote unquote, with feet of clay, and human foibles, and they fight each other almost as much as they do fight supervillains.
Oh, it's kind of like working class gods or something.
Yeah, it's weird. You could argue that has a lot to do with the Greco-Roman type of gods, where they had all their squabbles and things amongst themselves. But these are kind of like, DC heroes tend to be these pure heroic archetypes, with fewer complications in their personalities or desires or whatever. It's their desire to do good.
Yeah, and I'm not getting the DC Marvel scrap, and I think the fighting between this is stupid. I like DC for what DC things, and I like Marvel for Marvel things, and I think they can both exist in our universe in peace and harmony, and we can enjoy the comic books and the movies. And to get mad about this is absurd.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love Marvel Comics. DC is where my heart is, though.
Same.
However, I have no animosity to level at either of them in a general sense. Or and just because I favor DC does not mean that I think Marvel is lousy.
Right.
My tastes have evolved into the direction of being more of a DC guy.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that? So
nothing.
Yeah. So the Legionnaires go around. They won't. They're trying to get all the townspeople together to fight.
Yeah, they're
King
rallying the
Carter.
folks. Like, come on, we can take this guy.
Yeah.
And so he makes some douchebag demands from the center of town on his lazy boy on the roof of his car.
Yeah.
And then they throw lettuce and stuff at him from the rooftops.
What does Paul King comes in front of them and grabs his attention and says, "You need to leave this town." And King Carter says, "I'm going to beat you up," or whatever. And they throw lettuce. You know, I always thought rural communities had lots of guns, but I guess I'm wrong.
No, you're not. But in Code Era comics, I think they don't want to have a bunch of gun-toting civilians like solving a problems by like blowing away mobsters.
Yeah.
Although, boy, I want to read that comic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but so he hit him with the lettuce.
And then they have clubs and stuff, and then they beat him up. And the Legionnaires covertly beat him up, like Superboy and Mon-El melt the firing pins in the mobsters' guns, and so the men of Smallville just beat up these guys.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, it's let's see, it's Duodamsel beats up Slob. Okay?
Yeah,
and you're saying, Mr. Slob, and he was saying, "No little girl can yai."
As she trips him and stuff.
There's a great movie called Shock Out on 101, made in 1955, with Lee Marvin as Slob, as he is a communist hoodlum. And
you had me at Lee Marvin.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. He's trying to... Oh, man.
He's trying to start a commie revolution, but also do crimes?
He and Keenan Wynn are... He's got this pencil mustache.
Okay.
And they're doing calisthenics and with barbells and all that stuff, and he says, "I really want a big, thick neck."
That's so weird.
No, it is an awesome movie, but Shock Out on 101.
Shack Out on 101?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because as you enunciated, it sounds like Shotgun on 101.
No. Okay.
Okay.
But, yeah, great movie.
Okay, so all the mobsters are run out of town, and the Legionnaires are kind of reconvene, and they're like, okay, cool.
We're going to leave. And they tell everybody, or they tell...
the people they're staying with, we're going to split, you know.
Yeah, and they tell them they're going to the 30th century. And she puts on a costume. And they tell Chief Parker, right?
Yeah.
And about that, and I says, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, because Mordru has spread his influence throughout everyone in the town, including Lana. And then she reveals to Mordru that the Legionnaires are here.
Look at her eyes.
Yeah, you can see Mordru in her pupils.
Yeah, and...
You'd think they would have noticed that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But you don't... I mean, if you're on the lam, you don't tell nobody nothing.
Yeah, but they're teenagers.
Yeah. But they're legionnaires. They've been fighting crime and the galaxy. They should know how to keep low on the down low or whatever.
Sometimes when you have superpowers, subtlety isn't your strong suit.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, they could have learned a little something from Batman here, but they didn't.
Yeah. Okay, so of course Mordru finds out, and he's 100 feet tall, and he's about to kick their butts.
Yeah, and so this part one of this story ends on a huge splash panel of Mordru revealing himself. Oh crap, the jig is up. What's going to happen to the Legion? We're going to find out in part 2, The Devil's Jury. But first, we're going to take a quick promotional break.
Batman Nightcast, a thrilling new podcast from the Fire and Water Podcast Network, hosted by Ryan Daly
and Chris Franklin. Nightcast chronicles the Cape Crusaders' adventures in Batman and Detective Comics after Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Highlights from this legendary era include
Batman number 400.
Legends,
Mike Barr and Alan Davis.
Batman Year 1,
Batman Year 2.
Max Allan Collins,
Ugh.
the new Jason Todd,
Ugh.
Millennium,
You're not doing this right. Let me take over. Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle.
Alan Grant from Jurassic Park.
Did you hear me say Norm freaking Brayfogle?
Oh yeah,
Son of the Demon.
The Killing Joke,
A Death in the Family.
Batman Year 3,
A Lonely Place of Dying.
Alan Grant, Alan Davis, Max Allan Collins. Why are there so many people named Alan from this era of Batman?
The Rise of Tim Drake.
Legends of the Dark Knight.
And that's just up until 1989.
Did anything exciting happen with Batman after that?
You'll have to tune in to find out.
Batman Nightcast, part of the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
Find it on iTunes and at fireandwaterpodcast.com.
Oh, we forgot to mention your favorite issue, when Batman fires Dick Grayson.
You want to find another co-host?
$229 different characters spanning the galaxies of the Legion of Superheroes, presented across 7 comic book issues. A new miniseries as part of the Who's Who podcast. To handle this many characters, the irredeemable Shag is bringing in a ringer, or maybe we should call them flight ringers.
Who's Who in the Legion of
Who's Who in the Legion of
Who's Who in the Legion of Superheroes?
The Legion of Superheroes.
in the Legion of Superheroes.
The Legion of Superbloggers team up to present Who's Who in the Legion of Superheroes, a 3-episode miniseries in 2017, part of the Who's Who podcast on the Fire and Water Podcast Network. Long live the Legion.
And we're back. Before we get into the second part of our story, I want to talk about some of the extra features that are featured in this.
And they are extra special.
Yes, in this Treasury edition. First, we have a big full-page image of the Legion's home base. Jim Shooter did the layout for this. Kurt Swan penciled it, and George Klein inked it. So it's the classic Kurt Swan image. Do you want to talk about this?
It's busier than I remember. The last time we read one, there's kind of like it was out on a mall,
Yeah, well, this is an interesting angle that we've got on this, the Legion HQ here. It looks dope.
Yeah. I would love to see this in my city.
Right?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Now, the L is like part of the building sticks out about 50 feet. And it's kind of cool.
It's pretty big. So very cool. If we turn the next page, though... by the way, that image originally appeared in Adventure Comics number 367 in April of 1968. So we have a 2-page spread, though. It's a diagram of the Legion headquarters complex and a lot of stuff on the inside. There are cutaways to see stuff on the inside. E. Nelson Bridwell wrote up all the stuff in here explaining what everything is and purposes and so on. Beautiful art by Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito here. And this appeared in Adventure Comics number 403 from March and April of 1971. Anything you want to talk about this?
It's awesome. And and the 8-year-old boy in me loves this.
Yeah.
And the arsenal has tanks and cannons and missiles. It's cool.
Yeah.
I would love to
Although
see
you never see the Legion use crap like that.
Yeah, darn it. Okay. Let's see. There's a memorial room with a statue of Pharaoh Lad, and a statue of Superboy. What gives?
They have a statue of Superboy. One, because he's not there all the time. Mm-hmm. But remember, he's the inspiration for the Legion. Superboy and the Legend of Superman. But I know it's weird that they're in
the memorial room.
Well, it's like depending on when you look at what point in the timeline you look at the memorial room. There's also one for Reflecto, who, spoilers, is Superboy also.
Oh, God.
He gets 2 statues.
Wow. That's it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we have another one.
Yes, another big 2-page spread. This is The Wedding of Bouncing Boy and Duo Damsel, penciled and inked by the late, great Dave Cockrum.
Mm-hmm.
And this appeared in Superboy number 200 from January and February of 1974. And Cockrum left DC because they wouldn't return his original art for this.
Huh.
And crummy for Legion fans, but great for X-Men fans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably Dave Cockrum's most famous work on the X-Men. And he designed lots of wonderful costumes for those characters. And also, when the X-Men would go into outer space and they met the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, every one of those Imperial Guard members is an analog to a member of the Legion.
Wow. I wouldn't mind reading that. But it's cool. We have tons of people here.
Yes. Including every member of the Legion who is not dead or insane. So no Matter Eater Lad. Matter Eater Lad at this point in the timeline, I believe, has... oh, no, there he is. So never mind. I am wrong. But we also have every Legionnaire, the Heroes of Lalor, the Wanderers, a few other people, the subs, of course, and a couple of characters like Tars Tarkus from the John Carter novels.
Which is interesting. But he only has 2 arms. They mentioned that.
I see his 4 arms right here. 1, 2, 3, presumably 4.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, and also...
But it says he has apparently hidden 2 of his forearms. Okay.
They're hidden.
Okay.
But at any rate, also John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, is present.
That is cool.
I think, I haven't read that issue, but I think they actually do the wedding on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could be completely full of crap.
Bouncing Boy looks great, and so does Duo Damsel.
Right. And I remember now that this is the first Legion wedding. It's before Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl. And also it's the retirement of Bouncing Boy and Duo Damsel from the Legion. Then they just go to reserve status at this point.
Mm-hmm. I like weddings in comic books.
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're great.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the wedding of Aquaman is great, too.
Ooh.
You've seen that cover, at least. It's awesome.
Okay, I have to look at that.
Aquaman getting married to, of course, Mera. And Superman, Batman, Hawkman are all there. I think there's a couple other Justice Leaguers. It's great. Some of them wearing helmets to breathe underwater.
Yeah. And, it's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
And
we have even more Legion, more of the Legion headquarters complex. Just some other features talked about here, but all the text here was written by E. Nelson Bridwell, who was like the encyclopedia of comics. This is a composite of panels taken from various issues of Adventure Comics and Superboy, including art by Kurt Swan, Dave Cockrum, Mike Grell, and Jack Abel.
Yeah, several things. I like these Legion applicants. Man,
I think that's Porcupine Pete and Infectious Lass.
She looks like a hippie, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Or a mod girl.
You know what Infectious Lass does, right?
No.
She gives people diseases.
Yay!
She causes diseases.
Yeah, the problem with diseases, they're not that quick, you know?
Well, they are if you have superpowers.
I guess so. The meeting hall. I always loved the main meeting hall.
The room where they're sitting in these chairs, kind of raised up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a semicircle, and then Legion applicants, show their stuff. Love it.
Yeah, it is cool. And we see Shadowlass messing up everything, opening up the vault.
Oh yeah, for Mordor, yeah.
And
as if we'd forgotten.
Okay, here's something: the underground cell bank, where they have tissue samples from all the LSHers, which is what they call, and so they can be made into a clone. The clones are unstable and die within 48 hours. I have never heard this, but it's an intriguing idea.
I don't know if they've used this at all. They haven't used it much, but that is just a thing that happens to exist within the Legion lore. I think it's weird.
Yeah. the monitor room has a guy lounging about looking at this girl who's flying about. And he's got his feet up and he's munching them on something.
Yeah, that's I think that's Karate Kid.
I was thinking Timberwolf, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like, here's the thing. Karate Kid's early costume and Timberwolf's early costumes there's some similarities there. And I'm just drawing a little. I'm
what in the
fuzzy.
world is he eating? It
I don't
looks
know.
like
fruit?
Swiss cheese fruit or something. I don't know. That's purple.
Okay,
That's
Remember,
cool.
Outer
That's
space,
awesome.
the future, all that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So it could be
I love it. This is great.
Okay, so on to the second part of this two-part Legion epic, The Devil's Jury.
Yep.
This was originally presented in Adventure Comics number 370 from July of 1968. Written by Jim Shooter, with also pencil layouts by Shooter. Penciled by Kurt Swan and inked by Jack Abel. And our cool splash panel has Clark Kent being confronted by Pete Ross and Lana Lang as the Insect Queen.
Yep. And he's saying, y'all crazy. I'm not Superboy. And it's pretty cool. Oh, I love the shading.
Yeah, it's a good job.
It's cool.
Good job, Jack Abel.
Yeah, looks very noir. So,
yeah.
All right. So the first panel of the story, Mordru is smacking them down, the Legion, and he's making it so they can't fly.
Yeah,
and they're on the ground, and so they said, "Well, we can't go up. We will go down." That's
okay.
And Mon-El and Superboy make a big hole, and they make a bunch of dust, so Mordru cannot find them. So
burrowing into the ground. I love how Duo Damsel and Shadowlass are holding on to Superboy and Mon-El's capes as they dig down. I just noticed that. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, so capes are useful.
Yeah. Well, all four of these Legionnaires are cape wearers too.
So they said, well, Mordru can follow our thoughts. So let's get rid of our thoughts of knowing we are superheroes. So
what?
Yeah, so they make them forget they have superpowers.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Or how could they possibly defeat Mordru if they don't know that they're... Is it going to wear off?
You know, yeah. Okay, I don't see... Okay, that's a good plan, but...
What
happens?
Game?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're going to go into hiding and Mordru's just going to conquer everything.
Although, why doesn't... All right, if I was Mordru, I would kill everybody in town, and the people who are left are the superheroes, and I would kill them special, the way you kill superheroes.
Sure.
And that would be the easiest way to do it. So, but I'm not a supervillain, so... Okay.
Yeah, and Mordru, despite all his power, is kind of a Republic serials villain.
Yeah. He's Ming the Merciless and all that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah, and Ming the Merciless is cool. So, great villain. And so they make the Legion forgets they have superpowers, and Ma Kent forget that the Legion exists as well.
Oh, wow.
So, and then they said, "Hey, why are we in the cellar?" Well, I don't know. So that's pretty cool,
right?
Yeah. So,
that's an interesting detail.
Yeah.
Someone might forget to they should be confused if you just suppressed a memory.
Yeah. And Lana loses the Mordru's hold on her.
Good.
And
so really what Lana and Pete Ross are the catalysts for the Legion's course of action, I should say.
Now, thank goodness. This would not have worked. It would have been 100 years, and then they'd be still living, and they wouldn't know they had superpowers without Lana and Pete Ross.
Right. Well, Mon-El and Superboy would probably live 100 years, but...
I don't know. They probably... In the 30th century, people live 100 years average.
Sure. Who knows?
Yeah. So they go back to where they're hiding out, and I said, weren't you wearing an outlandish costume talking about the 30th century?
And they brush it off as a prank or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't even remember. So,
okay.
So this actually works on Mordru. He can't find them elsewhere on Earth, and he cannot pick up their trail. So he's going to search the minds of everybody.
Wow, which could take some time.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes him, but he looks in everybody's mind, and he can't find them. He sees the mistakes they made was the stupid school mistake, and there's also a hospital. They called it a meta center instead of doctor.
Oh, doesn't he see that Pete Ross knows who Superboy is?
Yes, and that as well.
Does Mordru then know that Clark Kent is Superboy?
Yeah.
I'm asking.
He does, but then he looks into their minds, and it says, well, he has no knowledge of this, so what gives? If he was,
what gives, man?
Yeah.
That's a perfect Mordru line.
So, yeah.
You've captured him perfectly.
Yeah. So he thinks the real superheroes implanted these fake memories as to
throw Mordru off the trail.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, red herring.
Which is pretty clever.
Well, yeah, it's weird that's what an elaborate thing for him to think that they're pulling on him.
Yeah, he's being fooled, but not the way he thinks he's being fooled.
Yeah, which is great. That's delicious.
Yeah. I guess, maybe I wouldn't think of hypnosis. But and I can understand that maybe, but yeah. So he doesn't know what's going on, so he grabs his army. Yay! And his army comes.
Okay.
And his army kind of looks like Nazis. So
sort of like space Nazis.
Yeah.
But not like in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Right. And he gets his army, and then he takes Smallville and lifts it from the Earth and puts it in outer space.
Okay, and this is one of the coolest panels in the history of time. The panel of Smallville in a bubble, like separating from the Earth, floating off into space.
Actually, this one's better. I like better as Smallville coming from the Earth and the big hole where Smallville used to be.
I just think that is super, super awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and jumping Jehoshaphat. There's Earth down there. They're looking down on Earth. And
who says that? Is it Pa Kent or somebody?
Yeah, it's Pa Kent.
Oh, that's great.
And if only Superboy was here, but he hasn't been around for weeks.
Man. Okay, and so the space Nazis are there.
Yeah.
Mordru's army.
And they are searching everywhere.
So they have like orange or yellow uniforms, and they're like stormtroopers.
Yeah, kind of like German helmets, kind of.
Yeah, they look a little ghoulish.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have like French gendarme type capes, but they look menacing.
Yeah. Oh, the leaders do anyway.
And they have like space type guns or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they grab all the teenage girls because they.
I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah. Some of the legions are legionnaires are teenage girls, so they are threatening them, trying to get them to be superheroes, and so then they can catch them, and they're afraid.
Sure.
Except for Lana Lang, who I don't know, does a pretty good job of choking one of them.
Yeah.
But she's captured, and so none of them use their superpowers, so they must not be superheroes, because these people were actually threatened and nothing happened. They'd actually kill anybody, because that would suck. Yeah. They go into Pa Kent's store, and they are threatening Superboy. Superboy is acting like a wimp, and no, please, I'm not Superboy. Well, they'll deal with your father. And they hit him, Pa Kent, and so Clark says, wait, I am Superboy, yay, and they don't believe him because he's such a wimp.
Yeah, he's a real Harry Osborn in this story, or in this part of the story.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So Pete Ross is watching and says, why doesn't Clark stop him? He's Superboy. But I have it. He's lost his memory. That would not have come to me so quickly. It comes to Pete Ross, but not to Mordru.
Right. Yeah.
So-
Remember, somebody wrote that dialogue for Pete Ross.
Yeah, but I'm saying that.
But right, Mordru, the super sorcerer,
Yeah.
conqueror of worlds, it doesn't occur to him. But Pete Ross, kid from Smallville, oh wait, that must be it. But
Yeah,
maybe it's because part of it, I mean, knowing that he's Superboy somehow informs him more. Because Mordru isn't buying that Clark Kent is Superboy.
right. Yeah, it's interesting. I love this.
Okay,
It's
good.
great.
I'm glad.
Yeah, and you should love it too. So Pete goes to talk to Lana and explains the problem, and he tells her that Clark is Superboy, and you're not kidding, she says, and yeah, so she is surprised, and not too surprised, I don't think.
Yeah. So she gets her bio ring and becomes the Insect Queen.
Yeah.
In case we didn't mention it, I think we did when we talked about the secrets of the Legion, but an alien who needed help, Lana rescued them or whatever, or kept them from dying or whatever, and they rewarded her with giving this bio ring that she would wear it, she twists a knob on it, and then she can do any insect powers.
Yeah, so she puts Clark in a cocoon. And,
After she crawls up the wall into his window.
Yeah, and her body is circling Clark, and it's kind of mildly disgusting.
Okay.
And disturbing.
Yeah.
But so she carries him back to Pete's house, and she uses her my powerful beetle jaws cuts away the cocoon. Just God Almighty, I love you, DC.
Yeah. And so they say, okay, we hold Clark. Here's some scissors. I'll try to cut his hair. And of course, the scissors break on the hair. And this proves to Clark, oh, I am Superboy. It jars his memory.
Yeah.
And so he's going to leap into action.
Yeah, but scissors wouldn't break on Superboy's hair. It just wouldn't work. Have you ever tried using scissors on something that they can't cut?
Sure.
They don't snap.
Well, sometimes if it's a harder, they kind of bend a little bit. You feel the bend or the bounce. But since it's Superboy's hair, maybe they would break.
Okay.
We've seen scissors break in this kind of thing a bunch.
Yeah. And in comic books, but I haven't seen that in real life. Because, you have to have the strength to cut that. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't work completely, but comics, okay?
But this convinces Clark that he's Superboy, and then it brings his memory back, and I guess that'd be sufficient.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So there's a great scene of Clark in his pajamas flying out the window, looking very determined.
Yeah, and it's actually cool. He should wear that instead of his outfit.
Right?
It's Pajama Boy. He comes.
Dun, 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 dun,
So now he gets everybody's memory back with his device, and they all remember, oh, it's time for action, and I'm a superhero.
So this whole sequence just kind of bought them some time.
Yeah, which is fine. Although,
except no one was coming up with a plan during that time, so it's dumb. They could have called on Lana any time because they knew she was already an honorary Legionnaire, and they never
was Pete
mentioned
Ross
it.
an honorary, or
He is.
Was he at the time?
I think so. Or
Well,
maybe this is where he becomes an honorary Legionnaire. I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, their plan had a major flaw, and they don't remember. So
Weird.
Yeah. But I mean, they got hiding a little bit, and they're searched, and their minds are searched by Mordru, and then he's probably not going to search them again.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense. So
Okay.
all right, so they get together. They're going to kick some butt tomorrow.
Indeed, the butts that will be kicked.
Yeah. And they fight against the army. I love the tank. It's cool.
Yeah, Superboy and Mon-El bursting up from out of the ground. Mon-El smashes his tank. It's great. Duo Damsel. There is... not everything is as it seems. The plan is not revealed to the reader until it is revealed to the villains, which is great.
Yeah. Lana is really happy because, I'm living with a Legionnaire. Didn't even know it. And I was worried about Bob finding out Superboy's identity when he already knew it. Yay.
Yeah. Because I think she had met and become an honorary Legionnaire before the induction of Shadowlass.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they flip a tank over, which is always cool, and they just start punching chins.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Superboy. I like Superboy's flight ring is very prominent as he punches some space Nazi.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
So the soldiers though, they get their magic blast guns.
I love the magic guns.
Yeah, man, I'd like to have one. That'd be cool.
I wonder if they have any working parts or if it's just like a solid piece of metal that Mordru enchanted.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I mean, right?
So they capture.
Because what would you load a magic gun with? A magic bullet.
Yeah, yeah, magic bullet. Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Why not?
Wait, so Lee Harvey Oswald was in league with Mordru?
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, that'd be a comic.
Yeah. They look like guns. I mean, why not just give them wands?
Because wands are kind of lame.
Yeah.
I mean, but they use them. I mean, like the Weather Wizard has a wand.
Yeah.
And he's got that cool pop collar.
Yeah.
That's about it, though.
Yeah. I would love to have a wand that worked. That'd be cool.
Sure.
But, it'd be kind of, the problem with wands, though, where you put them. You're going to put them in your pocket. They're a piece of wood. Which is why Ron Weasley's broke his wand. Guns have holsters, and you can put them safe, and they're more compact and they're tougher than a wand. So
I think in the comics when Kiss were superheroes, I'm pretty sure that Peter Criss had like a slot in the side of his pants to slide his drumsticks down in.
Yeah,
but he didn't use. I don't think he used the drumsticks as a weapon.
And drumsticks are pretty hefty. I mean, you can break them, but they're.
I mean, they take a beating because they need to be durable.
Yeah, because that's what their job is, to beat a drum head.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there are a lot of questions.
Yeah. All right, so the 4 Legionnaires are captured, and they're in front of Mordru, and he's monologuing.
He sure is.
Yeah. And then when he's monologuing, I think he's more in a human form, and he's not huge, 100-foot, so he's not prepared.
Yeah, when he's huge, he's just using magic to be huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Superboy and Shadowlass come and fight him, and Shadowlass puts a shadow over everybody, and Superboy punches him out.
But
not enough.
But what's this? Because weren't Shadowlass and Superboy kneeling before Mordru defeated?
Pete Ross pretended he was Superboy, and Duo Damsel became Shadowlass and Duo Damsel.
Right, in disguise.
That is a very clever thing.
Yeah, so that allowed the real Superboy and the real Shadowlass and plus Insect Queen to go and attack. Pete Ross disguised as Superboy is great.
And Insect Queen can see in the dark because she has as a nocturnal insect.
Cool. But I guess their ruse didn't work, and so all 5 of them are, well, I guess 6.
Yeah.
Are put before the devil's jury. And in your notes, what do you say? All these scumbags from the 30th century.
Yeah. 30th century scumbags. It's taken from the short story "The Devil and Daniel Webster," where Daniel Webster has to, he has to defend a guy who made a deal with the devil. So the devil says, "I'm going to choose my own jury." So, okay, and then he chooses all these scumbags from the 18th century America.
Sure.
And so what Daniel Webster does, he appeals to the jury as Americans. And that wins them over. So I guess Pete Ross has read that story, so he appeals to them not as Americans, but as not even patriot. But they're saying he tells them that they are under the command of Mordru, and that's not they have no freedom. And being criminals, they should want freedom.
Yeah, he is still appealing to their humanity.
Mm-hmm. But let's see, Raythor, he's a prosecutor, and he shows.
I love his name, Raythor. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And the villains, we don't know any of them.
Yeah, they're just bad guys.
Yeah.
There's Dorzak, who's a murderer, Koldan, who's a traitor, and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm. So, Pete Ross tells them that they're under control of Mordru, and he looks at the jury, and the jury doesn't blink. And he says, "Oh, crap, I have lost."
Mm-hmm.
So they are found guilty. Oh, did I miss a page?
No, you didn't.
Okay. And Raythor says, "Well, they're guilty. I've got a plan for them." So he's going to build a box with lead and kryptonite, seal it with the Legionnaires inside, and bury it. And Superboy and Mon-El will die because of kryptonite and lead. And
the other ones will starve or suffocate.
Yeah, although they can eat Superboy and Mon-El when they get up.
How are they going to cut up and eat their invulnerable bodies? Because
will they be invulnerable after being
exposed to lead and kryptonite?
I don't know.
This is a tricky proposition. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and a disgusting one. So we'll move on.
Okay. It's no modest proposal.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're saying, "Oh, we're hopeless," and then they were buried, and it's kind of ironic because that's what they did with Mordru, and I say, "Hey, this kryptonite's not really affecting me," and Mon-El says, "Hey, this lead's not affecting me either."
So Raythor, it turns out, was a traitor to the other bad guys. He was the number 2 evil wizard on Planet Magic or whatever, and Mordru conquered him and subjugated him, and this is his way of getting revenge and redemption.
Yeah, and so he was listening to Pete Ross.
Yeah.
But Pete Ross didn't see him. And there is a panel where he's looking very interested in what he's saying, or surprised.
Yeah.
So Raythor is kind of a heroic traitor, I
Yeah.
guess. But
if you're a traitor to bad guys, then you're a hero.
Mm-hmm. Right, I agree. But Raythor is killed by Mordru because Mordru finds out, and he is atomized. And it's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Raythor, we hardly knew ye.
Yeah. And man, is Mordru mad.
He is super pissed. And there's a great panel of him, swirling magic stuff around and monologuing about how evil he is.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, and so he puts him into a force field that cannot be broken. And so Mordru says, "I'm going to make this fireball of force, and that's going to kill him." And he makes it bigger and bigger and bigger. And he's so mad he doesn't realize that he's made it too big, and it destroys, because they're underneath the ground.
Yeah.
And the ground comes and entombs him. So,
and all the rest of the Devil's Jury.
Right.
Right?
And the army.
Oh, the evil army. Huh? Oh, yeah. So the Legionnaires are able to escape then.
Because of the irony is that the force field protects them. And Mordru entombs himself.
So, it protects them, and then once he's stops doing magic, they're in a bubble of stuff that they can just push their way through all that rubble.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mordru, defeated by his own hubris, the Legionnaires did not beat him.
Right. It was dumb luck and his anger and hubris. And
yeah.
Yeah.
All their power couldn't defeat him.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That is cool.
So we're doing in kind of the aftermath that they reverse the not remembering Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they take away Lana's memory that Clark is Superboy.
Then suddenly Mon-El takes...
hang on.
Okay.
Clark plans to use the memory to take away Pete Ross's memory that he is Superboy, but
Mon-El takes it and takes the Ray and
makes Superboy forget that Pete Ross knows that he is Superboy. Mm-hmm. Because some point in the future, Pete Ross, having the knowledge that Clark Kent is Superboy, will save Superman's life.
Yeah. Although I'm not sure why Superboy doesn't need to know that. or
Because comics, and it's fun. And we're restoring the status quo.
Yeah.
It's still the Silver Age. It's still light continuity. We don't want to have major things that affect, that we have to carry on with in further stories. Oh, now Superboy knows that Pete Ross knows a secret. No. It's going to be a one-story thing.
Actually, that's kind of clever.
It gives the illusion of change.
That the superhero is not... the superhero has a mystery. But then somebody who's not a superhero has a mystery, too, that he doesn't tell anybody. So that's kind of neat. And that's...
So, the Legionnaires return to the 30th century, and they catch up with Invisible Kid, who isn't dead yet, Dream Girl, Ultra Boy, and also the White Princess Projectra and her sister, the White Witch, who is not a Legionnaire yet. Mm-hmm. I don't think the White Witch becomes a Legionnaire until like the early 80s, actually.
Yeah. So the so the White Witch. So Mordu is destroying the Legion headquarters. So the White Witch protects it and makes a image of the HQ being destroyed, and so it saves everybody.
Yeah. Oh, Projectra makes it the illusion of it being destroyed, and White Witch is just using magic of her something. Mm-hmm. So yes.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Well, I'll be darned. I think of all the trouble we had, Monel says, dodging Mordru. How ironic he was for about 3 girls, and they're kind of looking smug.
Wow, that's pretty sexist. Yeah. But, okay, overall, what do we think of this Treasury?
Oh, it's super fantastic. Great plot. Great villain. I could have used some more Legionnaires in it, but...
Yeah.
None of those are really my favorite Legionnaires.
Well, I really like Monel and Superboy and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I like Shadow less.
Yeah. I mean, what would Bouncing Boy do in this?
Right?
Yeah, that'd have been interesting to see him in 20th century.
Yeah, I think especially in like Silver and Bronze Age stories, what keeps it fresh is once we do establish a formula of only doing a handful of Legionnaires per story, like that are the focal point. Changing it up every while, like having it a different combination of Legionnaires and seeing them play off each other. Yeah. That's interesting.
That is fun. Yeah. And that's a minor quibble. This is really great. The plot was cool. The only thing I didn't like about it is it's too short. I like to read something 3 times its length. That was really cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So that's the show for today. Next week will be our tribute to Bernie Wrightson, which is we could not do that, and more on that next week. Comic Reflections is recorded in Portland, Oregon, and produced by Sean Roof. Until next time,
long live the Legion.
Aquaman and Firestorm fighting crime together. Soak them down or burn them up. No one does it better. Whenever you find trouble, they'll always be there to catch them in a bubble or even torch their hair. They stand for truth and justice in sea, on land, in air. Firestorm and Aquaman, they make a super pair.
The Fire and Water Podcast, celebrating Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas, and Firestorm, the Nuclear Man.
Available weekly on Aquaman Shrine, Firestorm Fan, and on iTunes and Stitcher.
I'm one of your hosts, the Irredeemable Shag, here to talk about Firestorm. Along with me is my co-host Rob Kelly, here to talk about some guy that talks to fish.
Really? You're going to pull this crap during the promo? Bad enough, I have to put up with your shenanigans every week, but...
Stop and listen! Stop and listen to me! Listen! Listen! Listen to me! They're not human! Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
November 4th, 1988. Earth is invaded by an alien alliance composed of several species, including the Dominators, the Khunds, the Tanagarians, and the Durlans. And they want our superheroes. Even though Australia has been decimated, the United Nations response is unequivocal. Drop dead. First Strike, the Invasion podcast, takes you back to that moment in time and covers the entire Invasion DC Comics crossover. Issue by issue, tie-in by tie-in. Join Bass and Siskoid at fireandwaterpodcast.com or on iTunes. First Strike, the Invasion Podcast, a proud member of the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
Remember, Albert.